awkward topics should be treated to help everyone get comfortable early on. You're not calling attention to the discomfort, you're modeling how to move through it. Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Kristi Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Kristi Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello, Foster fam. Hey, welcome back. I'm, of course, your host, Kristi Foster. Hey, did you enjoy the Word of the Year episode from last week? If so, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating. And if you listen on Apple Podcasts, please consider just writing a short review as well. It's such an encouragement to me. I really can't overstate that. It encourages me so much. And I also love getting emails from you. So send me a quick note, Kristi@fostervoicestudio.com, to let me know what word you chose as your theme for the year. I'm eager to hear those things. Today's point of interest segment comes from a podcast episode I heard a while back that just kept me awake one night. And the reason it stuck with me is because it challenged how I think about goal setting, motivation, and the way I make decisions in my business. Now, I'm in the habit of listening to podcasts when I go to sleep every night. I just find that my brain just takes too long to slow down on its own because my own thoughts just keep things stirred up. So by listening to podcasts, I can focus on other people's thoughts instead of my own, and I go right to sleep. Most nights, the content doesn't really register, but this time something slipped through. One podcast I listen to is called Theories of Everything, hosted by Kurt Jaimungal. As you can imagine, it's philosophy and science oriented and not my normal intake, and it puts me right to sleep. It does the trick. So recently I started the episode with Professor David Deutsch and his discussion on why Einstein would fail modern grant applications. Sounds really dry, and I zonked right out. But I woke up briefly, just turning over or something, right towards the end, and it was enough to tune me back into the interview. When asked his advice to prospective students and researchers, he said, "Go for the thing that is fun rather than the thing that you think will lead to fun." Isn't that an important distinction? The more prophecy you have to make to justify your present choice, the more error-prone it's going to be and the more different from the reality that is going to happen. In other words, the more future guessing you have to do to make today's decisions feel right, the shakier that decision probably is. He gave the example of research on large language models, LLMs, and artificial general intelligence, that's AGI, or human-like AI, to kind of unpack his advice a little bit more. He said, if I decide to work on LLMs because I believe AGI is going to be terribly dangerous, then I am prophesying various things in the future according to some theory that I have now. But that theory is going to change. So it's better to make decisions according to the shortest possible time scale of prophecy. Now that's kind of dense, so let me break this down a little bit. Essentially, don't try to leapfrog ahead 2 or even 1 decade, prophesying what you think AGI will look like, and then try to reverse engineer it to define your current work, because you could be incorrect on what you have predicted. Now, even though, admittedly, I am out of my intellectual comfort zone when discussing theoretical physics and philosophizing over scientific concepts, this particular snippet resonated with me, and then I just couldn't go back to sleep. Because then I was thinking about building my business and how I do goal setting. I don't think you need to understand theoretical physics to take something useful from this, because what struck me had nothing to do with science and everything to do with how we make choices. When I think of following the fun, it's not that I'm chasing dopamine hits or indulgences or just easy, carefree living, but I'm so deeply rooted in responsibility, thoughtful strategy, and discipline that I'm conditioned to be asking questions like, what should I work on this year? What will move my business forward? What would be smartest long term? Those questions aren't wrong, but they often keep me stuck in analysis instead of movement. And if you listened last week, this year is all about action for me. If I follow Professor Deutsch's advice, instead, I would focus on questions like, what am I genuinely curious about right now? What topic do I keep circling back to even when I don't have to? What teaching moments light me up, even if it's messy or unfinished? And I think he would argue that this second group of questions would probably get me to a better long-term result than when trying to prophesy a year, 5, 10 years out without considering that I will change and evolve within that 5, 10-year time period, which will render my prophecy meaningless. I don't have a tidy conclusion here, and I'm actually okay with that. It's just still something I'm mulling over and I'm getting curious. So, what do you think? I don't want to negate the value of dreaming and vision casting, but I think there's a lot of overlooked value in the challenge posed around following the fun. Maybe there's a balance. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Send me a quick note through email or send me a DM and let me know if you're a prophesier or a fun follower. Hey, real quick, if your jurors look confused when you say liability, standard of care, or damages, they're not tuning out because they don't care. They're tuning out because they don't speak law. I've put together a free guide called Top 20 Legal Terms to Avoid and What to Say Instead. It'll help you simplify your language without losing credibility, so your message actually lands. Download it now at fostervoicestudio.com/top20 or click the link in the show notes. All right, back to the episode. Now let's talk about energy. Not woo-woo energy, but the actual physical energy that you display or don't display when you're talking to the jury. I'm talking about what your body and vocal tone are communicating and if they're congruent with what you're saying. When I'm working with my clients in a coaching session and they're explaining their case to me, more often than not, they give me very even, unaffected, factual reporting. And I don't think it's a stretch to think that that's how they would explain their case to others as well. But as a first-time listener, I need a little bit more. What they're talking about are topics that I have virtually no personal experience with, or they're things that we're socially expected to not talk about. So there's a lot of internal awkwardness for your listeners, kind of personal intimidation with certain subjects, or maybe your case facts are pretty graphic, so stomachs might turn over it a little bit. Your jurors are not unlike me. This is exactly how they experience your case, like first-time listeners just trying to find their footing. The point is, you need to match your vocal energy and your physical energy to the weight of your content. Energy mismatch is one of the fastest ways to lose credibility in the room. If you're talking about grave, serious issues, drop your pitch, slow your vocal pace, and still your body. Reduce that frenetic need to move around or fidget. This is a mismatch to the solemnness of your message. And you can hear I'm demonstrating. If you're just listening, you can hear I'm trying to demonstrate that to you. But also pop over to my YouTube channel so you can see how I'm slowing down and matching my body to my message as well. Now, if your case content broaches into those socially awkward conversations like sexual function or body parts that are considered private, you need to acknowledge the potential awkwardness. Not necessarily by saying explicitly, some of you might feel awkward or embarrassed talking about these things. That points the finger on the jury and causes them to do some silent comparison with each other. Instead, just presume that everyone is feeling that way and non-verbally set it up. Scrunch your face, physically withdraw a little. Represent the topic vocally with a little unevenness in your rhythm. These awkward topics should be treated to help everyone get comfortable early on. You're not calling attention to the discomfort, you're modeling how to move through it. But on the flip side, when you're telling the story of your client, especially in the before part of their story, give generous physical energy. Keep your face lifted and bright. Keep your vocal tone also lifted, using a lot of that middle voice to capture expression and life. That not only accurately represents your client, but it also gives you somewhere to go vocally and physically when you do want to create that contrast for the after part of their story. Can you hear how I made that shift? I created contrast, and I was able to because I had emotional matching the first time. When you deliver everything the same, everything loses its meaning. Now, I know in your day-to-day, you can't afford to be as emotionally and energetically invested as what I'm talking about. It would be too much. I know that. I understand that you need to be black and white, surgical precision, and strategic and shrewd with how you craft your content. Plus, you are spending a lot of time on your cases. By the time trial rolls around, all this is old hat to you. That's human, and it's completely understandable. You've talked about all these case facts ad nauseum to the point that you're completely unaffected by them. So of course you tend to just flatten everything out and report it to the jury. So just keep in mind that even though you're desensitized, you have to pretend that you're not. Pretend that it's your first time saying these things out loud. Put yourself in the shoes of the first-time listener. And again, match your vocal energy and your physical energy to the content. This is how you build credibility, how you gain permission, and you build impact. Your job isn't to perform. It's to help the jury feel the weight of what you already know. Now, next time, we'll build on this a bit more as we discuss how to use your body to create the punctuation you need in your presentation. So tune in next Monday for a new episode. Until next week, keep fostering your voice. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.